Okay, so position is absolute, so top 50 pixels. So then we're just based on or yeah. So over here it's set like the image itself is stored in piece. Yeah, so then we're just adjusting these images. Oh yeah, these attributes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, because if you like do that in the game, like you can move them as much as you want. So you're just I would suppose look at just hide behind cards and then you make it poke out. Yeah. Yeah. Look at the code. Hey, John. Right? It takes you can see that part of the style have something to do with yeah, it's specifically looking for the up and down key. Size, like what so the image is already set to a specific height of 300 pixels. Yeah. So when we call, when we press that, it's saying just when it happens. So on young is when you release, on young it gives you the option when you want to. Oh, right. Whatever you want to. It's all up to you.
All right, before we jump into the coding part, I want some groups to share what 5 steps they came up with. Who can share something? I'm just looking for a description to make sure everybody's in the right direction.
The first function checks to make sure that the document is ready and loaded.
Okay. So from the beginning, what did you saw from the start? From that heading, H1.
From the very beginning of
the
code. Okay.
Yeah.
So we defined a couple of cards through Bootstrap.
Okay.
And in the cards we placed a button specifically to determine.
Okay.
To explain like what would be wrong.
Right. Okay.
And then we also defined the image of Captain Planet.
Right.
As well.
Okay.
With some specific attributes like the position is absolute.
Okay.
And where it is.
Okay.
We also defined the height, and we you find those so that way we can also edit it
Okay.
later on.
Okay. Yeah. What else? Somebody else. George, what did you find out? Okay.
So how is moving like on the y-axis and the x-axis?
Okay.
Functions. One thing I think is pretty unique when you're talking about is moving up, how you to go up the y-axis is actually the negative.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Excellent. Yeah. So that's the I'm trying to get you guys in the habit to look at the complete code. I know a lot of the starter code is given. A lot of people kind of skip through it, but please make sure you start from the top and see what's going on. Kind of helps you revise some of this stuff. Revise Bootstrap, HTML, CSS, just in case. All right. Some of the steps that I added over here. You have an HTML layout. jQuery was added, so this tells me that this project built on jQuery. Buttons and images. George, Michael kind of pointed out what's going on behind the scenes. Then there are like 4 or 5 jQuery methods that are being used. Very high level. But this is how you pseudocode everything before you start coding. All right. So let's go ahead and add. You kind of get an idea. Look at the jQuery documentation for animate or anything that you see different. That is not over there. That is part of jQuery. All right. Documentation is jQuery API. Google that, and then the first link that shows up is the documentation. Look at that and make sure you understand all the functions that you are using. Or is this something new? Okay. And then you have to add like a couple of whatever you feel like, some activities, some animation to Captain Planet. All right, we'll take 15 minutes for this exercise. Go ahead, add that code as a group, and then Slack out what's working, screenshot or something, or just show it to me or the TS what you got. All right.
Like when you say spin back, you mean like
Brendan, you can work with the gentleman over here, so working to add these properties. So Michael, you see that E dot switch whatever the numbers, right?
Yeah,
That's what I was talking about. Yeah. It's not E. I think there's a key code, but this will work also. E dot bridge. So you have key code for every key.
So you can put
Yeah. So if you look at the key codes, I think alphanumeric they have a range. Okay, I don't know what it. Let's suppose it's 550 to 100. So you can put an if condition that if it is between 50 and 100, then only work. Otherwise, kind of ignore it. Just don't do anything.
that means that I think like to make a lot of things simpler rather than writing out a bunch of.
Yeah. Writing 50 to all alphabets, 26, 27, then number, that's too much. Look at the range and there's a, it's an easier solution.
So we're trying to change the image to something else with the transform button. So I already got the class with the button. I already got the button figured out. I got the jQuery, so I'm trying to figure out like how would I put an image in there and so when you click the button it transforms into or changes to the picture.
Okay. So what you would have to do is get an ID for the current image.
So where would I put the image? Like, should I just put it under?
Under
I don't
assets.
in the assets. Sorry, I put that in the assets.
Okay.
But I don't know. Maybe you should write down or show me like an example.
So
So I know we're probably using attributes.
So let's suppose you have added the assets, right?
Yeah.
Just like Captain, we added image over there. And then you should have an existing image tag. This is for Captain Planet. Okay? Now what you're trying to do is you're trying to replace this part.
So then you would, okay, I think I kind of get it.
Right, so this is what source might be source is equal to something. So you're going to get this image in your jQuery using the jQuery thing, right? Find that image, replace the source attribute to whatever it is.
Okay.
Okay? If this doesn't have an ID, then just add an ID in the existing code. Because so it's an attribute, right? You can use $, whatever the ID is, image ID, right? And then you can do .attr, and then source is the attribute, right? Set it to that www image ID, whatever. Just set it. This is one of the ways.
Well, look at, so you have audio there, so it's being passed as an argument into audio. Yeah, so what do you think create elements? Yeah, so audio is an HTML, right?
Yeah, they're using a class.
There you go. So mind you, you can't use pass anything because audio is an HTML5.
Something like that.
So you can
So ID is not
So just something to keep in mind.
just make sure this class name is not being used.
Yeah, that's how you can create an element with JavaScript.
I don't think it is, but make sure that this is the only place this is.
Oh no, it's not.
Yes.
Yeah, so far so good.
Oh, I was trying to
Oh, I haven't memorized anything. I was going through
that's how you do it. It's kind of this simple. I didn't see what the next step was. I just saw flip.
What's up?
So I just copy the hype from the room.
Oh.
And then so it's better to run all this and I don't like it.
Because both image and caption blend corresponds to different classes that are tied to the same element. So every time you reference a class, you have to use dot, whatever. So no matter how many selections you have, you have to use dot, ing, space, dot, capital.
Right, so
Or try something. Do you understand the concept how it is working? At least? Okay. It doesn't work? Oh yeah. Yeah. So it's if you see, it has a default one, but if you define, that's why it's moving up and down. If you define the y-axis, it seems like if you put the negative going up, is that what it is? You see, there's a negative 200 ex or something. When you do the move button, right. So it tells me that the axis is kind of, this graph is like this. So the y-axis is this, and x-axis is like the one. Versus the regular y. It's like this. That's why you have the negative.
I'm just saying you don't have to.
Yeah, it has a default. And why does it have a default? Because you have that image tag, right? In your HTML. somewhere this image tag is defined. So that's why we place that image over there always, wherever you have defined
That
it.
is just based off of
Based on the default HTML, how HTML works. So remember, in HTML you put an image tag. They probably have some CSS that kind of puts the image on this corner. So this is the default behavior or what you have coded in HTML to make this image appear over here. You might have image tag and then you might have some margins, whatever. Somehow it comes over here, like columns and everything. So that's the default position.
also, if you get flip images, you don't have to define because like left up and down, like they're given for you don't need to do that because flip just like flip.
Oh yeah, yeah. Is it working? Does it flip? Is it part of jQuery?
Yeah, it's already in the because I put it into the move
Okay.
button function because I was like I just wanted it to make the same thing.
Okay.
But I'm gonna create this. I don't know. I shouldn't have to have.
It doesn't look like jQuery has a flip function.
Yeah. What the hell is
No, there's no flip.
this? God damn it. What is this?
No, it must be somebody has custom created. You guys have documentation. I don't see anything flip over there.
Alright. Never mind. I'll go back.
That's why I've never heard of flip. I mean, I understand what you're trying to do, flip it, but there might be a difference.
Someone's just made. Truthfully, you did into GitHub. It's his name too. Damn this guy.
What is it? Are you looking at this one? See, jQuery flip is not a function.
At some point, you know.
I did do it. I bring your even settings and lower the resolution. So we're kind of figure that out. Weird.
All right, a couple of more minutes and we'll start the next exercise. Okay, so let's make sure we are coming to a good stopping point.
I'm still working on
Like if you do, you gotta predefine. Yeah. I'm guessing the width one is 7. That's the awesome thing about jQuery is it makes doing animations much more accessible if you're trying to do it.
So it has all the HTML. I was messing around with it on my file hub, but I can't get it to show like this. I was excited. I can't figure it out. I just had a linker. Adam just went like, I don't know, I gotta do it. It's made by whatever you want. So, Adam is oh, we get
All right, guys, let's go. Yes, it's gone. Oh, so you have the, I think, opacity to 0 or something. There's a property called opacity, OPACITY. Might be like 0 or something. That's why it completely goes away. Yeah. Yeah, you did it right. You just set it to like completely. All right, let's start the next one. All right, guys, let's start the next one. The next exercise is a little bit more challenging. We'll do this in the group also. Okay. All right. Before we begin, everybody okay? Kind of understood the code? What's going on with the Captain Planet one? Any confusions? Yes. What is it? Yes. Okay. No, you get the point is if you get it on the music button also, that's fine. Yeah. It didn't play the app? Is there an error or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you have a separate audio problem? We can take a look at it. Yeah, we can take a look at it. Yeah, it should work.
Oh my God! I did something right.
You did? Okay, awesome.
Ah!
All right. So just to quickly recap, this is what jQuery is, and you will be using most of the time, at least in this course, these few functions. And if you know these functions quite well, you got jQuery, right? We saw the how do we start using the if it's a class name you're trying to bind to a selector, use a dot, or if you're using an ID, it's a hash. same as CSS selectors. Okay, there's no difference between this and jQuery. We saw events, dot on click, we saw dot ready, right? These are the two ones that you're going to be using most of the time. We started with append, and then today you guys used animate. And then there are a few more methods, and it depends what you're trying to do. But for our use case, to understand jQuery better, to make sure we understand it clearly and we can use it, these are good enough, okay? If you know these, this is what most of the time jQuery is doing, okay? We saw the Captain Planet. You guys kind of understood what's going on. We're using the click on method and the animate one. All right. One thing to notice over here in the animate, what is this? What is the data type of this? The argument that animate is taking. No. Again. So animate is a function. It's taking an argument, one argument. What is the data type of this argument? When I see curly brackets. Curly brackets. Object. All right. Curly brackets. Object. So this animate function is taking an argument which is an object. All right. Just make sure that. You see right now we have height over here. Since this is an object, object can have multiple properties. So if anybody tried, I know Matt tried it, you can actually pass in more than just the height. You can do height. What is it? 500. Since this is an object, I can put a comma and pass in some other properties, such as width, or if there's anything else. Okay? Because this is an object can take multiple properties. Okay? I can totally take this part out, create a separate variable, right, called dimension, and make it an object, right, and then pass in these properties, and then pass this dimension object variable inside the animate. But the point is that you understand what is the data type of these arguments. Again, animate is a function. It's taking some arguments. And the data type for this argument is object. And how do I know this? I look at the curly brackets. I'm like, well, it looks like an object. It is an object. All right?
Question.
Yes.
So with an object, because you could name Captain Planet and just put a bunch of attributes in a value inside, for him. Where is that coming from? Or are you just creating an object?
What properties?
For the height, like the object right there.
These properties, these are defined. No, these are in the animate. If you look at the documentation, they're expecting an object, and this object has already defined properties.
So from the image source, it's coming for.
No. This is not coming from anywhere. This is what you are giving. All right, one more time. So in jQuery, if you look at the documentation, there's a method called animate, right?
Oh.
And they are saying in the documentation, the animate takes in an object, right? An object, I'm saying, can have multiple properties. Right now, its height, I can take a guess. There's a width property also, and it works. Look at the documentation. There might be a few more properties that you can send in this object, and that's what it is. So this is the height that you are setting. Okay?
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
All right.
Bar-dim interchangeable with animate?
Oh, this thing?
Yeah.
Not with animate. So what I was saying is,
I don't know.
now you are going to use the animate function, and you have to pass in an object. What is this object? It's a dim. Like this dimension object, I created a variable. So I was saying you can just pass in dim also. But you have to create a variable. But that's kind of a longer way to do it. This is shorter, and they just did it directly. But that's what it translates to. Okay. Documentation, again, always start with the documentation and see how to use it. Try to understand how to read the documentation and understand how to use it. This is a really good one. They have even examples you can copy paste and start working. So this is one of the better documentations for this library. All right. Okay. So the next exercise is going to be a little bit more challenging. Let's see what we are trying to do in this one. Okay. So this is the end result. So you have a picture of a fridge and you have alphabets at the bottom. Okay. When I click anything, it creates like a fridge magnet on the top. Okay. You see, I'm clicking at the bottom. Any letter that I click, it kind of creates an element over here and puts it on the top, like a block. So if I press K, puts it K over there. Put G, E, F. Okay. Like a fridge magnet, right? You're putting, and this is a fixed image, and on the image at runtime or using jQuery, you're going to create this block and put the letter that has been clicked. Okay, when I press clear, it clears everything. Okay, we're going to do this as a group. Take few minutes, pseudocode it out first, and then before you start coding, look at the starter code and make sure you understand what's going on. Let's see what the starter code has. So this is how your starter code. This is the output of your code that is given to you. There's no alphabets and all that stuff. There's just a clear button, which I doubt works. But so you have to put in those buttons, and then on each click, you have to do that. So right now, what are there? Like 27 buttons. Are you going to create 27 separate buttons and put it over there?
Yes. No, definitely.
So whatever Joffrey is saying, do the opposite of that. Right? Again, start from the top. Make sure you understand what the code is doing before you start the coding part. And every time you complete something, I would highly recommend test it out before you proceed. Either you can do an alert or a console log, whatever makes sense over there. How do you test it? Make sure that this part is working. There are a couple of new things. At the bottom, you will see data. This is an attribute in HTML5. Take a look at it, Google it, look at the W3 schools, try to understand what this attribute is doing. It's a new attribute in HTML5. It's this part over here, number 10. And look at this also. How does jQuery is using this?
How do you do that screen thing?
Live share?
Yes.
Do you have live share installed? So go into plugins and search for live share. Well, if you have it, should be at the bottom like this. Do you see this at the bottom?
Oh yeah, I do.
So you already have it installed. Yeah. So click that and we'll give you a link. Share, send that link on Slack to your group, and they should be able to see your screen.
Where they kill out.
So, yeah, you can very, very grab a button stick, and then
Is that array, like, maybe that like this. So it'd be like, letter button. Again, that variable I equals button.
So here's how you know.
Oh, there's a, yeah, I got that, document. I don't.
I was just
Make sure yeah. Well, inside this declaration. Yes. So what's actually checking the documentation to see if it's an option. Yes. So for the attribute, adding the attribute, so when we set that equal to letters in the same line as we add
Line number what?
for number 4.
Okay, line number 4. Given each letter button a data attribute called data-letter. Okay.
Can we do that in the same line where we add a data letter attribute? We do that in a separate line. Like, can we do letter.button.attr?
Yes.
And then do the data letter, and in that same line, set it equal to letter. So, or do you need to do data letter and then declare data letter as a variable?
No, you can do it in the same line.
Same line?
Show me the code when you do it. Because I'm thinking like 2 different things over here. Since it says add a class.
So, I'm talking about this one. So I've been working on the highlighters are very strong. So I did like this. And can we set it like that?
Oh, no. You have to have, when you set an attribute, right?
Yeah, yes, that works.
Then you have 2 arguments.
So these are really important.
This is the actual attribute name, such as source or whatever. And then this is the value that goes in that. So it's a comma and then the value that goes in over here. So it is a very yeah. Yeah.
It's still really neat.
But that's what I figured. I'm like, it works for this, but I don't know how to do it. I understand that this works.
So for number 3, I'm going to use the dot add class.
That's what now what you can do is you can comment that out and then try to work through
Each letter the following classes. Okay, so letter button dot add class. The following classes. So I have to give this, this,
So,
You can do it other way.
so how would the raise, yeah, you can do it directly, like you can do
Okay, so you could just do that way too.
Yeah, that will work.
Will my version work as well?
Yeah, yours will work. Yes. What you are doing is, what I understand correctly, you are saying dollar button, right?
Yeah.
Dot add class, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that will also work. I did it because I'm just following the guide instructions. But yeah, this will also work. No. Try it out. If it doesn't work, but this should work perfectly fine. All right, number 4. Then give each letter button a data attribute called data dash letter. Data attribute HTML. I'm going to call it data dash letter. So from the documentation, looks like this is required, and after that, anything you want. Star. So I'm going to use data dash letter. That's what they're asking, and then set it to this thing. Set it to this. Okay. Then give each letter button a text equal to letters I. Okay. So text letter button dot text is a function, and then equal to this thing. Okay. Finally, append each letter button to the button.
We're just saying
So how do I append? I need to append it to this one. Okay. So jQuery method, this thing dot append and something. Okay. I need to fill in these things. Append each letter button to hash buttons. Okay. So this goes here. And then what do I have to append? I have to append this thing. So this goes. Okay, let's sure. There it is. So I have coded out the first part, and the first part is basically you should be able to see these buttons, and I just completed it. Just following the instructions, you should be able to see this part. And I'll move on to the number 2 in a few minutes. You guys good with number 1?
I understand. Once you start learning them, it's
So here's what I was saying, that when I code, people are like, oh, makes sense, totally. But until you go and sit and do it, this wouldn't. You have to keep doing it.
everything. Like I appreciate the stuff that you've been sending.
Right.
Even the, like that little workbook
Yeah, that's yeah.
Going out, you just have to keep doing it. And
And
see how this
it's just not the material. You have to open Visual Studio, just keep coding, keep coding. That's the only way you're going to actually get it.
Yeah. I see, you know, sometimes some people get something, some people don't. Like, I'm going back slowly, and I just want to grab stuff because I see you can explain well.
Right.
Like from CSS, you know, all this is stacked on.
I mean, that's the problem. I try to make it as easy, but then people are like, well, yeah, it looks easy. And when they go by, that's what I keep telling you. It's not as easy as it seems like. It only comes with practice. I know this because I've been doing this. That's why. Otherwise, it's not that hard. It's not difficult.
I appreciate your honesty. Gotta grow.
Right?
I wouldn't let me comment that.
I used to drink one, but this one, give it a try. It's the same thing. Giving a different option.
Sorry.
All right, I'm gonna proceed to the next one. It's kind of more difficult. Create an on-click event. On-click event on letter button. So this is a class. So same syntax. jQuery dot on method and then something. Okay. All right. So what am I clicking on? I'm clicking on dot letter button class. So I'm going to put this here. Okay. The first argument is I'm clicking it, and the second is a callback function. So function parentheses curly brackets body.
So see how you have see how you have the less than before button? The less than sign. Sure. It's between the quote.
And since these are all inside this thing, I'm going to just cut paste this, move this at the bottom. Format. Okay. Next, create a variable for create a new variable fridge magnet and set this to a new div. Okay. Give fridge magnet the following password. Fridge magnet dot add class, and then I need to give these classes. I'm just going to copy this.
So, what's the structure of the you start with whenever you have a synthesis, it has to have a logic preset. Same thing with quotes. You have to have, one character, one quote, you have to have you can't do it very
Alright, so number 10 is probably the most complicated of this whole exercise. Then change the following code onto the variable fridge magnet dot text this dot attribute. Alright, let's see what's going on over here. So I need the fridge magnet variable. Then it says do dot text. Okay, dot text just adds text to it. Okay, inside it says dollar this dot attr, dollar this dot attr, and then
you can see on line 8 probably
so what does anybody know what's going on over here with this thing over here?
So are you this refers that looks better. So let's save this and then let's refresh the page.
Alright, guys, I'm going to just go over this. If you are working on your own, that's fine, but I will point this out what's going on over here. Right? So until this point, you guys did this, and it shows up all of these are dynamic, right? I never created these buttons, you guys never created. These are coming up over here. Is there any difference between these? Same classes, right? It's kind of difficult to differentiate between which button was clicked now, right? Because jQuery depends on the selectors, right? So each one of them have the same ones. If I do this one, if I do this one, it's still the same. If I use this class, it's going to return me all of these, right? Right? Because there's no, everything is common, right? So what jQuery does is, this is where this thing comes in. What $this is saying is, if you see this letter button over here, all of these classes have letter buttons. Letter button, letter button, letter button. But when you click any, jQuery over here identifies exactly which piece of the HTML code was clicked. Alright, jQuery, when you use this keyword, it will know which one of this was clicked. If it was the M, H, D, Q, R, whatever. Okay, since these are all dynamic, jQuery keeps track of them using $this. So what it is saying is, when this was clicked, which exactly line was clicked, and this is how you get it. All right, this is the placeholder that jQuery will identify which HTML line or which button was clicked, which class was clicked. And the .attr, this is the rest of the stuff is same as previous jQuery. All the attributes, all the classes, these are available. The point over here is you're trying to get that jQuery variable that was clicked, that instance. All right. Again, over here, the problem is every line, every button has the same letter button CSS class. You cannot identify them. Say, how do we do it? You say dollar, and then you put in the class name, and it returns you that HTML element, right? In this case, if you do this, which one will it return? You don't know, because everyone has the same letter button, right? And since it's a dynamic and it's an event, when you do an on click, when is this going to be fired? Every time you click it. It's not going to get fired any other time unless you click that button. As soon as you click it, right, you're clicking one of these. Out of these 26 or 27, you're clicking any one, right? If you click this one, it comes over here, and jQuery kind of puts in memory exactly which one was clicked, right? jQuery knows this. But how do you get it out of jQuery? Use $this, and this will give you the exact one that was clicked.
Does that work off of the count? Because it's an array. So is that how it identifies it?
Oh, this area that we have defined? Huh?
Yeah, so like we have the array.
Right, on the top. Well, it's not exactly the array thing. jQuery doesn't, at this point, it doesn't know if you have an array or not. What it knows is that it's using this code on the back end, whatever they have the logic, they are keeping track of which was clicked. Okay. Now, it's an array, not an array. jQuery at this point doesn't know or doesn't care about that. This thing is purely jQuery keeping track of which one of these was clicked, right? Because only one can be clicked, right? So jQuery using $this kind of keeps track of that. And on the back end, whatever code they have, but it's an array or not array, it doesn't matter. Yes.
So I guess I'm not following. How are you telling me the rich magnitude look at the array with buttons are? Because it's just coming out of the class with tag good.
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not doing anything right now. I stopped over here. There are a few steps later on that will do it. At this point, I'm just creating a variable, which is a new div. That's what I'm doing. Okay? And in this div, I'm adding a text. Okay? I'm adding a text, and I want this text to be A, B, C, or whatever. I want this text to be the text of the button that was clicked. That's my goal. Okay? So at this point, now how do I find out which button was clicked? Okay? And this is how I find out. I found out, okay, which instance was clicked, and then I'm setting this instance. If you do a console log, what is it going to return? It's going to return you this whole HTML button, class, letter, G. Okay, and over here I have an attribute data-letter. Okay, so I'm telling jQuery, I'm saying, oh, when you get this HTML line, get the data letter attribute out of it. Okay, and data letter G over here or E, it's going to get this out, and I'm going to set it as a text for my new div. I have to do a few more things, but at this point, I'm just setting the text of this my new div variable. Yes.
So that way, you don't have, it's easier for you because you don't have to set the ID of each button.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. You don't have to set. The other long way, as Ali is saying, you set IDs for each button. ID button 1, button 2, button 3, button 4, and then try to get those. It's a pretty complicated process. And this one, in just one line, you can get everything you want. All right, so $this, do a console log on $this and see what happens after this line. You will get this complete line, one of these, whichever you click. Okay? Once you have this line, you want to get this data letter out of it. And what is data letter? Did anybody look up the HTML attribute? So this is a new HTML5 attribute. It is there so you can store some data in it. And the syntax starts with data. This is compulsory. You have to mention it data dash, and then this is all custom. You can put anything over there. So I used data dot dash letter. You can also create one called data dash let, data dash alphabet, whatever. It doesn't matter. This part is up to you. But this is a new attribute, and when you put it in, how do you put it? It's an attribute, so you would have a div, right? And then you'll have an attribute, right? You have a class, something, right? Similarly, you will have an attribute called data dash something, and then you'll assign some value to it. That's what it is. It's an attribute. It's a new attribute. It's in HTML5. And the reason is so you can store some stuff. And what are we storing? We are storing these letters so that we can extract them out later on. Yeah, it's typically something like a selection or something. But it's kind of free form, so you can put anything. But usually, yeah, it's kind of keeping track of something. Yeah. Well, try not to. I don't know, but you can do anything. Now I just need to append to display. So dollar. Append so my hash display is, let's see what it is. It's the top div. Okay. And there it is. It creates adds stuff.
It is. I mistyped button, and like I have been adding it. I've been adding empty squares. Yeah, you're like, and I'm like, I guess what's your first I know it's not on the Excel, but I think it's what it is. I can take You guys done yet?
I have it all. I wrote it. I get it.
It's here, right?
Yeah, but it's like, why are you not hearing? It's something small. The last time we just got a little.
It always is, my friend. It always is. It's always a semicolon, a missing parentheses, a dot where it doesn't need to be. Yep. Well, yeah, because with jQuery, if you do, like class name, that won't work. You need to have a dot. Or if it's an ID, it needs to be, an ID. So, small things. It's very smart. It's not that smart. You can call jQuery from anywhere if you have it linked in your HTML file. It is a lot easier. Like if you look at the actual, so we call it vanilla JavaScript, which is like original 100% bone stock JavaScript. If you look at a JavaScript equivalent to some of the jQuery functions, it is like night and day compared to how easy it is to use with jQuery versus JavaScript. So, yeah. That's why jQuery is so popular, is because they do a lot of the heavy lifting for you and just give you like an API to use with functions as opposed to writing a shitload of code. So then like a successful call search function traffic. Oh yeah.
Took a while to get right in there.
So you don't have any other code. All you have to do is
So what is
the identifier is there. Okay.
Yeah, so
close it out.
Well, I just don't know that.
Yeah,
There we go.
So what happens is you make it functional here, set the attribute value to do
The best method is to imagine a your mom. You don't want to split those attributes by all. You don't want to have to that all.
Yeah. The one I added. So now we save it and run it. So should give you +1 should give you we must okay, so it's the additional. So you don't have to very so I recommend smaller change this button.
So that's already
yes, so reset this right. We want more than the big I have shot on Jake, how you doing?
So let me quickly do the last one. That should be pretty straightforward. Clear. Quick.
This piece right here. So remember that this here, right? Inside, it'll give you that
$.empty. Okay.
So this will be obviously the class name of the other.
Okay, so just empty should work. Then I just need to okay. All right. All right, we'll see if I can do the next one in 15 minutes. Any questions on this one? Uh, so so let's see. How many were able to complete number three? Oh, okay. Number two. That was the easiest one, yeah. And number somebody who just got number one done. Okay.
I really
So
have
number
the
two.
online.
Now, does it make sense? Do you guys have any question? You see, I coded over there. Kind of becomes clear. But if you have any questions, let me know. What questions do we have? Yes, Jeff. Okay. All right. The keyword this. So why am I using this? The problem over here when I look at my alphabet is, let me go back here. These buttons, right? I created these dynamically, right? These are all dynamic. I haven't added anything. So each one of these have a class which is the same. How do I get this one out? All right. I want to know which exactly button was clicked. I want to know the key was clicked, right? The longer or the not preferred way is you put IDs to each button, unique ID. You say button ID is equal to button 1, button 2, button 3, button 4. But then you have to hard code each one of them, right? So the easier way is when you click any one of these, jQuery already has a method, has a property called $this. $this will provide you with the exact HTML that was clicked. So what was I saying? If you console log $this, right? So it will give you the exact all the details of which button was clicked, which button out of these was clicked, and that's what you are looking for. That's what I want. As soon as I click any button, I want this thing to come out of it so that I know which button was clicked. And how do I do it? I use this property, this. Now this, after this has all the same functions, attribute, add class. You can use any one of these. Everything is there. When I get this, I want to get the attribute data letter because data letter tells me the alphabet that was clicked. All right, because I saved it into this one. So when I click this, I say this code is basically saying var at data letter is equal to data letter. Okay, this code is doing it. It's in one line. That might be confusing, but what am I doing is I'm getting the letter from the HTML that was from the button that was clicked. So I want this letter to come out. Why? Because I'm going to set it on the fridge, right? So basically what I'm doing is I'm saying whichever HTML was clicked, go to that HTML, get the attribute, get the value, what is stored in this attribute. What is stored? It's a letter. So when I click this, if I look at my console, shows me the letter that I'm clicking. And this is what I'm looking for so that I can take this value and put it on my fridge on the top. Yeah. Okay. And this was if you look at the number checker, that's what I was asking if anybody did the number checker exercise. This is where this was introduced. All right. So the exercises challenging ones, they have like few new things, and the purpose of that is that you go back, look at them, and try to figure out what's going on, and then ask in the next class, hey, I saw this. What is this doing? Okay. Do you get the idea what's happening over here? Right. Otherwise, what do you have to do? You have to code everything how it's saying 26 IDs, which is too big. Okay. All right. Yes.
Is attribute just creating like a JavaScript variable?
Is attribute creating? It's returning a variable. Yes.
But it's creating data letter is just a variable.
It is creating what?
A variable? Called data letter?
No. It's not creating a variable. It's not.
The data dash letter as the attribute.
Oh, this thing?
That's just a variable, right?
No. This is what I was saying. Look up data dash. So data dash is a new attribute which is part of HTML5. Okay, and it is literally data dash and then anything after that is custom. You can put anything over there. So in this case, I use letter. I could use alphabet. That also works. Dash, let, dash, the whole alphabet. It doesn't matter. The only important part is this attribute. So this is what I was when I was solving. If you look at in W3 schools, this is how it goes. Data dash star means you can put anything. So it is a new HTML attribute. It's part of HTML. It's nothing to do with jQuery or Java. We are just utilizing one of the attributes. So this is kind of new in HTML5. You don't have it. And the purpose of this was included is exactly for this reason. So there you can store something. Okay? Awesome. Good question. Everybody clear now? Yes.
I think I understand this here, and I just discussed it with my partner here. But I noticed for the clear, either it's just a click, dot click instead of like an on click.
Right.
So is the on click mainly used when you're creating the function?
No. So what the question is difference between dot on, or I could totally do this using dot click, right? That's what you're saying. If I had this dot click function, right?
Yeah, right.
Right.
So since the clear is already a function, we didn't have to write anything for clear. It just clears.
Yeah.
But we do the on click so that we can write out the function that we're trying to call.
So when do you want this to be called? On the button click, right? That's why you need this click. But the difference between this and this is performance. So jQuery, if you read the documentation, jQuery suggests that you use this versus this one because this is more performant when you have more clicks and everything. That's the only difference. But this will work, and this both of them will work. Okay. All right. Any other questions? All right. Yes, Matt.
So you said other attributes usually just parts the data when data dash is special, so you do it all together.
Which line?
When you actually set the attribute, data dash on the 7.
This one?
Yeah, that one.
So what was the question?
Normally when you set an attribute, aren't you giving it two things, like what attribute and then what attribute?
That's what you're doing. That's what I'm saying. This is the attribute and this is the value that goes inside it. Oh yeah, later if you put in 1, it's going to return a value. This is, so here, that's a good question. All right. So Matt is saying over here I use .attr and I gave this, but when I'm at the bottom with this, I'm just giving 1. So if you give 1, it will return the value that is stored in this one. If you give 2 arguments, it's going to take this value and store it. This is returning, and that was in setting. So technically we say this is a get method, and the above one is a set method. That's what it is. Good question. Okay.
Do you teach the Tuesday, Thursday?
Yes.
I wish I could switch to Tuesday, Thursday. That was way more.
I'm not going to comment on that right now. All right. So.
Teacher slander here.
All right. We have 10 minutes. Let's see if I can code the next one. If not, I'm going to show you the code for the next one. I wanted to start at 11:30, but this is good. I want to make sure everybody understands this concept before we proceed. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. So the next exercise is it's supposed to be. I will upload that, and you guys can see the code. But I wanted to code it out. Let's see if I have enough time to go through the whole thing. This is called crystal example. This one, okay. So the purpose of this exercise is it's going to help you with the Java, the jQuery homework whenever that comes next Tuesday, whenever we get it. So it's kind of similar. It's not exactly the same thing, but it's kind of similar. So I wanted to go through this one. So this example, what it does is you have 4 images, all right, and each image has a number hidden behind it, all right. The purpose of this game is that you click and you have to get to 53. Now I don't know what these numbers represent, but these are fixed numbers. So let's suppose this is a 10, 1, 4, and 2. Let's suppose. I don't know what these are, right? So the purpose of the game is that you have to determine what these numbers are and then kind of try to reach this number. If you reach this number, you win. If it goes above, you lose, right? So, okay, so let's suppose I click the first one. it says new score is 10. So this tells me that this number behind this is number 10. All right. I can keep clicking this 5 times, and then I can get to 50, but I don't know what the next ones are. Okay. So let's go ahead and try the next one. This one. So this is 15. Well, it says the new score is 50. What does this mean? This was 10, so this one is 5. Okay. Okay, now let's try this one. So this one is 18. What does this mean? What is the number behind this? It's 3. And this one is 25. What does this mean? No. What is the number behind it? 7. Okay, so at this point now I know each of these numbers. This is a 10, 5, 3, 7. My score is 25. I need to get to 50. So if I want to win this game, what's the next one? The different possibilities. So I could do 10, 5, 5. Yep. So I do a 10, it gets to 35. All right, let's do a 5, so it gets to 40. One more 10, it gets to 50. And this I need a 3, which is this one. Okay, so this is how you win. And if you go up, it will just say you lose. All right. So this is the purpose of this game. So I wanted to show you how to code now. I have like literally 5 minutes. Let's see how far we can get. Okay, so I wanted to show you how do we start with this one? How do we code this one out? Okay. So let me open this. Go here. Okay, we go ahead and create one. Let's say crystal example. Okay, let's start with index.html. I'm going to just add my style.css to style.css, and then of course I need my JavaScript, so I'm going to call it crystal.js. Okay, let's go to my index, get this in, let's add my link, style, and then let's add my JavaScript file too. Alright, so let's make sure inspect console. I'm going to make sure no errors. So this means my script, these files are added. So I want to make sure this is working, that my connection is working. So quickly I'm just going to do an alert. Okay, and then say this is from this JavaScript file. So what am I doing? I'm trying to make sure that my JavaScript is being loaded. Okay, so it looks, so I made the connection, I added my HTML, and I tested this out by putting like an alert just to make sure that the connection is working. Okay. So the next thing is let's go ahead and add our. I'm going to comment this out. I'm going to use jQuery, so I want to add my jQuery file also. Okay.
Are we going to have this blacked out?
Yeah, I'll post it on GitHub. Or you guys can go ahead and select this out also, the whole thing, and you can watch it, see it, and see how it is going.
No, I want to practice.
Yeah. Alright, so I'm trying to find my jQuery link so I can put it on the top. I used from the previous exercise. Okay, I'm going to copy this one. Okay. So I have my links, I have my script file. Let's comment this out, make sure this didn't, okay, still working. Now I'm going to, since I have my jQuery here, I'm going to start with the $document.ready. to make sure this is document.ready. Takes a callback function. So I'm going to put a function and then I'm going to put this alert inside it. Okay, so you see how I'm coding this out. I do my parentheses and all that stuff first, and then I go in and fill up. So what this helps me with is that I don't forget my parentheses. Most of the issues you guys have is a missing parentheses, all right, or curly bracket. So that's what I start with, huh?
Capital letters get me a lot.
Capital letters, yeah. So that's why I follow the standard camel casing. So that kind of takes that out too. All right, let's see if this is working. Okay, looks like it is working. When the document is ready, then it kicks off. Okay, so now what I did, I tested my JavaScript file first. I tested my jQuery to make sure everything is working before I proceed. All right, this kind of resolved like 40% of my issues already. Sometimes jQuery is not working, nothing is working. Before even I begin, I did this simple test. Now I can proceed and see what's going on. Okay. All right, let me get that crystal image. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm going to comment that out. I'm in my body. Let's add that image tag first. So I have my image, my source. Let me flag this image picture also so that you guys, if somebody is working on it, they can take a look at this. Okay. All right, so this is my source. Okay, and if it doesn't work, I want to say crystal. Okay. Okay, so I got my image working. Still kind of big. So let me add some CSS so I can. What was that? It's a zoomed in, extremely zoomed in crystal. All right, let's add a crystal class. So I'm going to say crystal image. Let's do width. And then height. Okay, so my style, if everything is good and edit, it should show up in here. So class, put this in, remove the dot, formatting, come on. That kind of looks nice now, right? So you see how I'm proceeding. I started with my HTML, got that image, and then before even I start JavaScript. So eventually this has to be in jQuery, but right now I'm starting, right? This is my starting point. What I'm trying to achieve is that I get an image, and when I click, my jQuery kind of pops up saying, and this has been clicked like 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. Oh, okay. Right? Well, before we are breaking it down. Eventually the goal is that you have to click and you get a number, right? So I want to get to that part first, and then proceed from there. Okay. So so I'm here. This works. So what I want to do is now, if I click that image, something comes up. Let's suppose an alert. I want to create an alert. I want to capture that click. So same thing, $.on click, right? $on. I'm going to complete this first. Okay, and this is it said crystal image. I'm going to get this. Okay, and this is a CSS class, so I need a dot, right? Then 2 arguments. Okay, the first argument is string click, and the second is a callback function. So I'm going to create an anonymous function, complete my function body. Okay, I'm going to move this alert inside so I can see if this is working. This is, let's change this to when image is clicked. And it works. Okay. So you see how it's proceeding. Well, it's told one will take a lunch break. And let's see if we'll try to spend a quick 15 minutes before we start the next part. But you see how I'm proceeding? So start from small, everything scratch. There was like no starter code, no nothing. All right, this is how you start. Start small before you come to the end image. We'll see how we get to the end of it. All right, we'll take lunch break. We'll come back at 12:45. I'll spend 15 minutes more on this, and then we'll see the last exercise.
45?
Yes, 12:45.